Okay. Am I live? It says I have one viewer. Hang on. First time streaming. Okay. Uh, got my act together. Where is my website? I had OBS was showing a Windows capture. There we go. Fix it? Did I fix it? Okay. All right. Cool. I'd appreciate if whoever that viewer is could say if you can hear me or if you can see myself as well as the website I have pulled up. Still getting the hang of this. Warning, please check the video resolution. No. I have a bad camera. Open widget. Oh, okay. Bear with me. Bear with me. We are trying something. I cannot tell how I am coming across. I think that's pretty normal, though. Says my stream is running, so I'm probably just going to have to go with that. Is it public? Stream health. Says stream is good. Says I'm live. Okay, I'm sorry. Probably just going to have to run with this. I don't really have an updated screen, so I can't really tell how I look, but if my streams in the past have been any indication, I can't. So, all right. So, this is an open letter to people who make aluminum desktop injection molds. So, I do press molding. It's different, you know, we've got like the LE press, a different way of like recycling plastic, but something that I'm wanting to talk about is desktop injection molding. I'm going to be picking a lot on LNS technologies. Nothing personal. Just, you know, there's not a lot of desktop injection molding machines out there right now. There's the LNS Technologies machine, which are really great. There's the Booster Beagle kit, which I should have pulled up on the website as well. But we're talking about molds today. And there's also a few other alternatives, I think, like on Alibaba or whatnot. Injection molding, desktop injection molding. It's not really a thing, and I believe it could be. I think that desktop injection molding, because it is a superior way of certain kinds of manufacturing. Like if there's certain parts that you need, like high detail, you need them quickly, and a lot of high repetition. Things that injection molding can do better than 3D printing. But injection molding had its day in the sun yet, and I believe it can. So, but unlike 3D printing, desktop injection molding doesn't really have any patents holding it back. It's a heated tube. There's a lot to it, but like any company could produce one. So what's holding it back? Well, one, market. There's no real market for it yet. So if we want to see more machines, cheaper machines, like the Booster Beagle machine, like that kit, we want to build like a market. We want more people to be buying machines. So what's holding people back from buying machines? Now, the common thought process is that with desktop injection molding has been, I think it's really been focused around a particular part. Usually, because of the high cost of entry, people will have a specific part that they have in mind that they want to get produced, and so they get like a specific mold made for whatever it is they want, and then we'll get the machine to follow. I think this is backwards thinking. I think we should follow suit of other industries. If you are a person who wants to push desktop injection molding. I'm speaking out of my behind here. I don't really have any expertise in this arena, only that I am a follower of injection molding and 3D printing, and I really would like to see desktop injection molding have its day in the sun. So what do I think is missing from desktop injection molding? I think desktop injection molding needs what's called its killer app. Killer app, it's long before smartphones, there was a thing called the killer app. It is an industry term for a thing that sells machines. It started with personal computers. The killer app was the computer program that got people to buy a personal PC, that got people to go out and buy the Mac II, or the Macintoshes, like those older computers. Watch this old documentary called Riding the Bear if you want like the full history. Any program that was made that got people to buy a personal computer was called a killer app. And in video games, we call them console sellers. Like Halo was a killer app of the Xbox. Elden Ring is quickly becoming a console seller of whatever. What was it on? What was it on, Kitty? PlayStation? PlayStation. I guess. I don't know. Xbox. I don't know. Anyway, they're system sellers. So what I believe injection molding needs a cartridge, a mold, a killer app that will get people to buy machines or buy the Booster Beagle machine kit. Like 3D printing was a little bit different because the promise of 3D printing was that you could print anything. And honestly, a big thing that held 3D printing back was the files. Now there are more files available out there that are more interesting to people, and it's causing more people to get like 3D printers. Like these are things that have obviously there's a lot more involved in why 3D printing is popular, but these were things that held 3D printing back, and the more files that are out there and that are available, the more people are going to be encouraged to try 3D printing. Now there's a whole market. Well, injection molding doesn't really have this. There are molds that are readily available, and this is where I start picking on LNS Technologies. They do have like some great molds available. But if I'm being honest, these aren't really things that people typically would want to injection mold. Like what do we got here? Okay, now fishing lures are these are things that you need a lot of. Okay, so let's answer some questions. What do people want to injection mold, and what do they want to mold? Like, what plastics do they want to use? Me personally, I would like to see desktop injection molding steer towards using recycled plastics. I know recycling is my whole thing, and that's like my big Venture is trying to find uses for HDPE and thermoplastics that you find around the house. But if I'm being honest, that's the only reason that I even got into 3D printing. And I think really early on, that was something that a lot of people were looking for. It didn't really happen. 3D printing machines ended up going smaller, more detailed, and faster, quieter, rather than going in directions that caused them to use more plastics or reusable, recyclable plastics. So recycling plastics into filament is really difficult. But it's a lot easier with an injection mold machine. And if you look at the people who talk about injection molding, like Craftsman, who is pretty much probably the basis for the community when it comes to injection molding, a lot of people look to him because he has some of the machine. He has the LNS machine, and he's got a Brewster Beagle kit, I think. Yes, yeah. I think he got like the latest one. So he's actually able to show people these molds. But what does he end up making a lot of the time? The little robot. Okay, not this one. I believe this one here is... oh, my cursor isn't there. The little alien dude. These little alien dudes that are right here. I believe those are actually monsters that were created by Craftsman. I'm not sure. It's got a little exclamation points. That's probably his. Well, those are a lot better than like the MakerBot robot. But if I'm being honest, this isn't really something that I want to mold. So what do people want to mold? I don't think this is just like 3D printing was early on. People didn't have a good idea of what to expect. People don't know. They need to be told, well, kind of, what it is they want to mold. Oh, now it's popping up. Wow, my internet's really slow when I'm streaming right here. Let me back up. There we go. All right, so, oh, I was talking about plastics. Anyway, okay, what do people want to mold? Well, me personally, there's going to be a lot of personal opinions and kind of like what I would like to see when it comes for people who make aluminum molds. So take that with a grain of salt. Obviously, you know, it's going to depend on what people have a demand for. But I think by gauging the interest of what people are interested in injection molding doing, a lot of people are interested in, like, yeah, that's what I was saying. Yeah, look at the comments of a Craftsman video, and a lot of them are about using recycled plastics. A lot of people are interested in cutting up, you know, their old 3D prints or their, you know, their household thermoplastics, and then putting them into a Brewster Beagle machine and seeing what they can make out of it. So I do believe there is a want to use recycled plastic rather than virgin plastics. And this is important because the type of plastic does matter for the mold. We'll get into that in a second. But what do people want to make? Well, me personally, I do want to make practical things. I would like it. We'll get into the designs that I would like to see, but I don't think a lot of people, I mean, I don't know how much these get ordered, but I don't think a lot of people get them because aside from the fishing lures, which do have there is a reason for you to have lots and lots of fishing lures. Fishing lures are also really popular with aluminum mold makers. Yeah, one good thing about injection molding is I think the community is rife for to get those killer apps out there, those killer ideas that people actually want to make and want to injection mold, because there's so many people out there that can make molds, right? The fishing lure community, I think, is like one step away from just being able to make plastic injection molds. I don't know for sure. I could be wrong, but there's a lot of people out there that make beautiful molds that are meant for fishing lures, because fishing lures is a whole industry in and of itself. But notice a lot of these are keychains. There's a heart-shaped keychain, a starfish, a seahorse, which I'm not really, I think is really just kind of decorative. A star keychain. The things that stand out to me is that these things aren't infinitely scalable. They're not items that you would want to have 1,000 of. And usually when you ask people, hey, what would you want to injection mold, they're not going to give you good answers. A lot of people will say things like, well, either one, things you can't produce, they don't know, or they'll say Lego, we'll get to that, or they'll say like a guitar picks. Oh, so many people ask for guitar picks whenever it comes to recycling plastic. And it's like, how many guitar picks does a person really need? What, 5 at most? Right? Like, why would you go through all of the trouble to make a mold to make guitar picks? Right? You wouldn't. um, so, whatever it is that we make a mold for, now here is one. Poker chips. That is something that I think people would want to make like a lot of. But if you're using recycled plastics instead of virgin plastics, a lot of those colors are going to be kind of random. Now, people may want that, but I think they might be looking for more practical things rather than, color-coded poker chips or really nice-looking poker chips. Poker chips is a good one. But also, like, how many coins does, like, a person want? I think whatever it is that these molds should be geared around, it should be something that you literally can't have too many. Infinitely scalable. Like, if you had 10,000 of them, and I drove up with 10,000 more, you'd be like, oh joy. So what shapes, like, are that good? Like, these puzzle pieces are somewhat interesting to me. I guess for making like a coaster, which again, I don't think HDPE plastic makes good coasters. I don't think plastics make good coasters at all. The problem is if these could just keep going, if they were a different shape, and you could keep stacking them so that they were wider, maybe you can make like a chessboard out of them. See, that would be interesting. Now we're getting somewhere. Maybe you can make like a cutting board or something. Something that you can build off of. And the little wire wraps. The wire wraps are a good one too. I don't like dead fish bones, so I never really gravitate towards these things. But the idea of a headphone winder is something that you can have 1,000 of. There's something very easy to give away and sell to people because there's no shortage of USB and headphone wires that we need to wrap up. So yeah, there are some good ones here. They just don't really like speak to me to what would I get, and then get a machine to follow suit, because I'm looking to sell these things if I get a machine, right? Well, maybe. I don't know. It depends. I know, for me personally, I want to use up the trash plastic around my house and make things that I can give to other people. That's what I'm looking for. So, oh yeah, this was, oh yeah, one item, combs. I don't think combs are very good. This is something that Precious Plastic deals with a lot. They make like, rulers are useful, but they make like these combs, and again, you only need one comb, and these things are pretty durable. It's nice that you can make them, but that's a lot of effort being put. Like, this is a huge shot size. This is a lot of effort being put into a comb. Those tiny combs are kind of tiny and crappy. I mean, yeah, combs break and they need to be replaced, but again, a person only ever needs like one comb at a time. We're looking for something that literally you cannot have under any circumstances too many of. was going to say Carabiners is another one that's really popular. This is the Precious Plastic design. They've got a pretty interesting mold. This is a design I think you can have like thousands of. You just can't have too many because there's a lot you can do with clasps. So this is a good design. This is something that I would actually want to see. I think you can actually kind of get your hands on these though. There we go. There we go. So they are available. Not my favorite. I'd probably tweak this up a little bit. But this is what you want. You want a mold that's... I don't know where the intake on this thing is. Oh, that's right. They use those stupid side mounting molds. Yeah, these are something I think that are infinitely usable. But we'll see the shape that I think would be better. And these are going to be incredibly simplistic. So please don't be surprised at how basic these are. But I have done a lot of thinking about this, and there are two shapes that I believe that it does not matter how many you have, how many you can make, you can always make more. And that is a simple torus, a simple circle, and a connector brick. Hate to say it, but basically a Lego. Okay, so first of all, the circle. I know I am obsessed with chainmail, I am obsessed with circles, but there's a reason. It's because, like, a ring is a really valuable tool. If you put a strap through two of them, you have a belt. Like, you can tighten, you can cinch things down using those two rings and the tension between the strap. There's a lot you can do with a ring. You can also make chainmail. Why would injection molding want to make chainmail? Because the thing behind these two shapes, the reason I focus on these two shapes and why I think these shapes are the epitome of what you would want to design molds to do is because they cover two bases. One, flat things, and two, cloth. We can, with injection molding, unless you're using a soft thermoplastic like rubber, we're going to ignore that for right now. But if you're using like hard plastics, there's only two things that you can make. You can make a hard flat surface or chainmail that's like a cloth. Now, they're each different. Man. I really need a script. Anyway. Chainmail, good, right? There's all sorts of things you can do with it, right? Like, and again, you can't have too much of it. There's a whole industry making chainmail. I've made scale mail. Do I actually have it on me? I don't know where it is right now. I do have it here somewhere. The scale mail molds that I used to make. I have a press mold for scale mail. Scale mail is incredibly popular. It's like a modern twist on chainmail, but it's super popular. Imagine being able to make those with injection molding. And so yeah, so that's the ring and the Lego shape. Now, as much as I try to think outside the box and think of designs other than Lego, Lego perfected design for a reason. Or it is a perfected design for a reason. I have circles here, although there are alternatives. Let's see, D&D stackable terrain. it had this right. So check out this D&D stackable terrain. I don't want to be infringing on somebody else's idea here, but I think this is a goal for injection molding, and we'll take a step back. But really, I just kind of wanted to show the squares. The square tops can possibly work better than the circle. Oh wait, I already had. Oh, that's right. I already had the I already had the square option here. Woo! So there are two options here. There's the square on square, and there's the circle on circle. I think circle on square is one of the reasons why LEGO has endured for so long. I think there is something about the circle inside of a square that maximizes flex and stress to really like snap things into place. So I think that works for a reason. The problem is recreating LEGO is incredibly difficult, especially when you are using random plastics. So this shape is going to be a challenge. Now there are ways around this. Maybe if you just went with like the square stackable instead, and let it be kind of loose, you can seal these together really easy. I have this really simple technique. I'll show it off in another video sometime. You just take a simple soldering iron and you kind of like poke a hole, and it's really good for like soldering two pieces together. So if you can imagine, if you just stacking, let me duplicate. There we go. We're gonna make a little stack. Duplicate again. There we go. And then we'll raise it up. So right here, you could have a solder point. Let me shrink this down. So if you stab into the square with solder, I'm trying to demonstrate. No. Anyway, if you stab through the square, these two pieces of plastic will be bonded together, and you can use that to build upwards. So why this shape? Why two? Well, again, we got to remember that we are trying to model for small-scale desktop injection molding. We need it to work. So rather than actual Lego shapes, because it is near impossible to get the tolerances, it's a lot of work to get the tolerances exactly right in order to match up to Lego. So don't match up to Lego. I think 1-inch squares would be far more popular because this has uses. Like D&D terrain is like one of the biggest ones. But more so than that, I just think following a 1-inch grid, like you could snap a bunch of these together and build like boxes or maybe even eventually pieces of furniture. And the 1-inch grid makes it like so much easier. Like, man, I'm a mess in this video. I've been putting this off for weeks. Oh, I think it'd be a lot easier to get all this out, but I'm too much in my head. Anyway, you could do more. Oh, but we have a lot of, okay, so we have a lot of variety here, or we have an advantage here because of the small scale. What we can do with these, with this design, the reason it's really adaptable is because it's really easy for people to make cap pieces. If you just change this one, or maybe this part of the mold, or flip it over. Let's flip it over. It's now flat, right? So if you put flat on the whole, what you end up is now you've made a cap piece, and then flip this over. This demonstration is making it worse. put these together, like you flip over that flat piece, and now you have like a bottom piece, like a flat bottom. There's so much you can do with this, with these three simple parts. And so I think this is an incredibly producible part. Why is it wider and flatter than most Legos? Because that would be easier for small scale, like injection molding shot sizes. And if you can accomplish a bigger shot size, well, then you can just add more and make bigger pieces. Um, so anyway, I think one thing that would be really important for mold design would be modularity. So here's kind of like a mock mold I made where you can make like rings. Another great thing about rings is it maximizes like space. You can make a lot of different kinds of rings. I think that's really useful. Or just make a whole bunch of the same one. Like, that's, chainmail. One, since a ring can be small and pretty thin, you can make like 4 or 5 or 6 all in one shot, and that's a direction I'd like to see injection molding go. You know, save time. But if you can, God, I'm a mess. But by changing one of the sides, so this mold will have 2 symmetrical sides. But if you change one of the sides to like a bar, now all of a sudden you have like a D-ring. Now, this would be really sloppy because cutting half of this off would leave like kind of a sloppy edge, but that would allow you to make D-rings. Like, there's a lot of different shapes you can make here. So with this one mold, what we got? 1, 2, 3, 4. We got 4 different rings. But if we maybe flip the mold over and there's a line on the other side, well, now you've got this shape, and this can be cut into 4 different D-rings. Well, yeah, and D-rings have different uses. I'm not explaining myself well, am I? Anyway, this is what I would like to see injection mold makers make, is parts that will be accepting, or molds that will be accepting of almost any plastic, in particular plastics that people are going to want to have around their house, to pour into their machines or grind up in all those shredders that we eyeball and we idolize. We want to get like one of those cool shredders. And I'd like to see like modularity. I mean, you can combine the carabiner mold with a ring mold. You can combine a carabiner mold with a ring mold, and if the plastics overlap and flow into each other, then you'd have like a carabiner with a ring on the end of it. Like that. I think that kind of thinking, this is what we need to be searching for. This is how we need to start thinking. When 3D printing was having its heyday, one thing a lot of people talked about is like what kinds of 3D printing design. Like, it has its own unique form of design that people had to learn, and people are still learning, right? We're still learning how to deal with support structures and all-in-one prints. We can do anything, but our brains had to catch up to what we could do with it. Well, it's the same with injection molding. We need to start thinking in a way of making these molds more universal and more adaptable, so that someone can buy one mold and make multiple things. Or make a lot of something that they really, really want. All right, that is my open letter to. Oh, I didn't even mention what was his name, John. Ah, man, I don't remember his name. I want to pull up my YouTube. No, not Johnny Depp. No, 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 not that. Ooh, topical. Um, shoot. Here it is. John S.L. John S.L. right now is doing a really awesome like run through of mold design, and that's why I put this. I left a comment, and he was super open to it. He wanted to hear some of my ideas. I'm sorry. I wish this live stream was better. I'm a mess. I'm not as put together as you are in your videos. But right now, yeah, he's kind of going through like the mold design process and what you need to think about. His machines are a lot more advanced and focus on higher quality plastics. So, but I'm hoping that if one day he was to start producing molds in order to push machines, because if we get molds out there that people want to make, I think the machines will follow. And 3D printing started with kits like the Brewster Beagle machine. I'm sorry, I cannot say his name. Brewster Beagle. Brewster Bagel. Nope. Brewster Beagle injection molding. There it is. The Brewster Beagle. See, like, notice, like, an end cap for a bolt. Useful, but how many times is that useful? You can even see him, like, well, okay, he's actually selling kits, so he's probably making hundreds of these. But yeah, he has this really nice, like, Mark III machine. It's really cool now. It's a really cool kit, and this is where 3D printing used to be years ago. It was in the kit stage, and that's where we are with injection molding. And I would like to see it get into the Chinese knockoff stage, which is a good thing, right? If there is a market of people who want machines, then China steps in, starts making tons of these machines. They're producing at low quality. Now people are producing a lot of their own parts at home with much cheaper, more affordable machines. And hopefully we will have molds ready for them that they want to actually make. Especially if those molds are like kind of adaptable to where you can swap parts out and make different things. I think that would be a really great way of getting injection molding to get that spike of popularity I think it's overdue for. All right. How long have I been talking? About 40 minutes. Okay. That is my first terrible live stream. Hopefully it even worked. Thank you to Buster Beagle. Thank you to John SL and LNS Technologies. I'm sorry I picked on your molds. I didn't mean it. I hope to get them all one day, and make my own plastic parts. Yeah. What are you doing, kitty? You want to say hi? Oh, he's been super cuddly lately. Gooey, bougie. Alright. That's the stream. Thank you and have a good night. Thanks for hearing me out.